from the SUSE Fairfax City. We're very humble, grateful that Sally Woolfson accepted our invitation to our show. Sally, welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. These last 2 years have been, crazy with the COVID. If you were running a business, some companies went under. If you were a touring musician, you couldn't tour, and you were stuck at home. So it had been crazy. What's happened to you? How you holding up?
I'm doing fine. I mean, for me, I always work from home. So for me, that part of it was okay. But I wasn't used to my family being at home with me.
That's another problem.
And obviously, being sort of more stuck and rooted. But I managed to, it was okay. It was okay. We muddled through. Yeah. Strange times.
Yeah. As you know, here in the United States, over 1 million folks die, and we had a crazy president.
Yeah.
I don't know, weird times, man. But now we live in crazy time. Was your dad born again? Talking about Eric, was your dad born in like a musical family? I mean, how was he when he began perhaps taking piano lesson or guitar lesson or singing lesson?
He wasn't. They were not a particularly musical family. His dad did appreciate music, particularly jazz. But he didn't play. His uncle by marriage, not his blood, his mum's sister's husband, Fred, he was a brilliant pianist, and they lived very close by. And I think Dad used to love going and listening to Fred play, and he would apparently lie underneath the piano and watch, the pedals and the mechanism of the piano.
Yeah.
And that definitely had a big impact and inspired him. And he had piano lessons for something like about a year, hardly at all. And he did one grade 2. We've got the certificate somewhere which he just passed. And that was that. He wasn't interested in the sort of more traditional classical approach. And the minute I think he stopped the piano lessons, he was then off, and he learnt everything by ear, and he was totally self-taught. He couldn't read or write annotated music. He everything was by ear. He was extraordinary though. I mean, at a party, people could just shout out any song from Elvis to Elton John to some musical to something more modern, and he could just play it. He was brilliant.
Wow, there's people. I don't have the talent, man. I listen to music. I don't play an instrument or read music. I don't know. Some people are very talented. Your dad was planning on becoming an accountant at the time.
Not by choice. That's what his family, and I think my mum's family, were quite keen for him to do, to get a proper job. Instead of this crazy idea that he could make money in the music business. But that did not last very long, and his parents, I think, were told by the head of the accountancy firm that he'd be better suited for a circus. So I don't know what on earth he got up to there, but clearly wasn't taking it too seriously. And he did also have a little stint in the family furniture store. They had a very modern furniture store in Glasgow, selling kitchens, which again was not for him. So when he got to about 18, he much against everybody's will, came to London on his own, and went down Denmark Street and managed to get a job for a publisher there. So
my God, man.
Yeah.
Remind me a little bit of when I came here. I didn't speak the language, and it's crazy. But sometimes inside yourself, try to put myself in your dad's shoes. You know what you need to do. You know what you would like to do in your life. Know what parents want you to do, and you did it, and you need to go with it. It's.
I should explain that some of those, so he came at 18, he had a certain amount of success, but then he kind of was drawn back. So some of that was sort of afterwards. But when I think by the time he was about 24, 25, then he came to London with Mum. That was that. And he was just not looking back. So, yeah. But there were family pressures.
I know how it's like. And then you found your dad found a job as a session pianist, right? I mean, quite sure he was mastering the piano very well, though he did on his own for them to get a job as a
yes, he did session pianist. He managed people. He did some producing. Yeah, he was. He sort of carved out different avenues for himself.
And then not only he could play the piano, but I think he would offer a job to, well, you can write lyrics. That's great. Let's try to do something together. I think he was signed. I think the same producer for the Rolling Stone ended up signing him as a
Andrew Lou Goldman,
right?
as a songwriter lyricist. Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
During those years, he ended up writing songs for artists such as Marianne Faithfull, the Tremolos, Marmalade, Dave Berry, and the Poets, and not too bad,
No, not bad at all. I think there was like over 100 releases. I've got all the old, vinyls, little small vinyls. So yes, he did okay. I mean, it ticked over and it did okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then he thought, well, the money is not in perhaps as a songwriter, or he looked at the kind of sort of managerial side of him, and he ended up signing other publishing deal, and more songs were adopted by different record labels, right?
Yes. Yeah. And he managed Carl Douglas of Kung Fu Fighting, and I mean he was ambitious. I mean he wanted to do well. He wanted to be financially comfortable and prove to the family back in Glasgow that they were wrong.
That's right. Yeah. I told my dad the same when I graduated from college here, and so he couldn't blame me for anything else. And in 1971, with the assistance of Eric Stewart and Kevin Cutley, Alon Crane, a lot of people from 10cc that I already interviewed, a single was produced under the name of Eric Elder. I'm sorry.
Elder, yeah. He very nearly became a part of 10cc. They did want him to join, but he didn't. He didn't feel it would be lucrative enough at that time with the band, I think, as big as it was and what the deal was. I don't know the details of it, but he stayed friends with them. And I met a couple of them over the years. Yeah,
they're very good people. I'm going to be interviewing Lowell Creams soon. I interviewed Kevin.
Yeah.
I talked to him a couple of times. Very, very nice people. Very good people, So,
yeah.
And very good human beings. And 10cc did very well. So
they were brilliant.
He have stayed there. I don't know. Maybe his future would have been, obviously his future would have been very different. But it turned out to be that he didn't end up staying with them. And then later on, he became an independent record producer for several record companies. Right?
Yeah.
Is that correct? And despite his success, it's hard to make money, make a living. He was at the time married, right?
That's right. And had me first before, and then Lorna, and it wasn't easy. They weren't living a life of luxury, that's for sure. They were living in a little tiny basement flat in Muswell Hill, renting it and just struggling through.
Yeah. Wow. It's difficult. At the beginning, the professional schools that people struggle at the beginning, and then later on, he, used again his managerial skill, moving into management, and then he got several signings. One of them was Carl Douglas, right? And then one of the biggest selling hits at the time, and then Alan Parsons, the man himself, So
he met Alan. He was recording with another artist at Abbey Road, and they met in the canteen, and Alan had just done Dark Side of the Moon, and I think was sort of complaining a little bit that, it had done so well, but he was just the engineer at Abbey Road getting the rate that everybody got, and he was frustrated he wasn't benefiting more from the success of that release. And that's where Dad said, well, why don't I become your manager, and actually I've got some songs, and how about this? And and it all went from there.
And it's amazing that from that particular, the two of them, Alan Parsons and your dad, having to be in Abbey Road, which is one of the best studios in the world, and then at the same time, obviously, good chemistry between the two of them, and some year later, and they have sales in over, I don't know, 50 million records all over the world, all over the planet. Alan Parsons have played all over the world. It's amazing, man. So. He has stayed in Glasgow, and as an accountant managing a furniture store, right? So
what a waste that would have been.
Absolutely. Man. I'm glad that he didn't listen to your dad, and he went on his own and did okay in his life. All right, let's talk a little bit about the Alan Parsons project. The first one is a tale of mystery imagination. Going to be a hub. As I told you, I have a lot of records. So this is the first cover that.
Yes, that cover should never have been released. That cover, it's
really that's from Casablanca at the time. Printed.
Actual fact, even Alan was very cross, I think, about that cover. It's not. That was not. I don't know how that one came about, but it wasn't right. This is the right cover, obviously.
Yeah, of course. No, I have the one. This is the one. This is the one, right?
Yes, exactly.
This is from Portugal. This album, it's a masterpiece. I mean, people don't understand that at the beginning, especially at the beginning, in any profession, I suppose, whether you're an engineer, a record label engineer, or whatever, at the beginning, it's so difficult to put something out there, whatever your profession happened to be. And the album is very well received, did very well, different because they were Alan. I got to Poe lyrics, the first two tracks, and kind of different, right? So, but they did okay. It's amazing that. And in each of the Alan Parsons projects, your dad project, your dad. Records, well, they're so different from one another. I don't know if you feel the same way. The second album I wrote very different from this guy, right?
He always had planned to do a Tales of Mystery album part 2.
Part 2.
Originally, there was always the scope for that, but because they changed record label, the new record label didn't want the part 2 of the album. They didn't have, so that didn't happen, and that got shelved until 30 odd years later when he wrote Poe More Tales. But yes, I think he always just allowed himself to be inspired. He was always open to inspiration, and there was no neatness to that could come from anywhere, and iRobot was very fortuitous from a timing point of view, because Star Wars happened to, come out just as the album was coming out as well, and it was very topical and well timed.
The reason why the record, as far as the record label didn't want to put that? They thought that it couldn't be successful in terms of sales, or
what the first record label.
Yeah, the first one. Why did he want to put the second album?
I don't know. I think it baffled Dad at the time because it had done fine. Tales did pretty well. Maybe it didn't do as well as they had anticipated, and they just, for whatever reason, moved away. But yeah, I think it did baffle Dad at the time why they didn't want to continue. It was disappointment.
Yeah, because it's a very good record. And then some year later, for the 40th anniversary edition, they released it box.
Yeah, I worked very hard on that one.
Huh?
I worked very hard on that.
Oh, I buy it, so yeah. And I bought this, believe it or not, at the which is this box.
Yeah.
At the where I bought this one. The record store right next to Abbey Road, to the left of that, to the right of that, depending. I put it there, and
great!
It's very good. For every box, right? Yeah. The vinyl and
a huge amount of work.
It's a lot. The picture. It's unbelievable how How much
Well,
work into this goes
this
up?
is what I love with the box sets. The size of them and the books mean that all the memorabilia. I mean, I've got boxes and boxes of memorabilia, but it's very difficult in a CD format with a little booklet to really showcase that. And the lovely thing with these box sets is that you've got these, it's a lovely size, big book, and you can really, spread out so many of the interesting pieces of memorabilia that we have. So I love them. I work very closely with the designer. I mean, all the stuff in it has come from our archives, pretty much all. They are big projects to work on, but I really enjoy the end result.
And then I read somewhere that your dad, he was filing and he wasn't filing anything, or you have, like me, right? My wife complained that I'm very messy. I know where everything is, but I'm not organized. You got boxes of boxes of boxes of boxes.
Well, not now. I mean, over the years, it's taken me years and years and years, but I finally, there was a house that got sold and different boxes that were in different places. I mean, he wouldn't file, as you say, anything. So he would have loads of boxes. He would keep absolutely everything. But in one box, you would have everything from some, really important contract to the promotional tour for Pyramid to, artwork from something else to some licorice all sorts, sweet packets or receipts from 1981. It was just, and so over the years, and then a lot of audio cassettes that would come up all the time. Oh no, another audio cassette. So over the years, I have my different boxes for different albums, and as I would go through, I would try to put everything in its right album box. So I ended up with each album had its own box, and then with the cassettes, and there were over 100 of those, eventually started to listen to them and figure out, that's the songwriting diaries from that album, that's that album. So it's been a process, but it's everything is pretty neat now. It's taken me like 13 years probably since he died. Bless him.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. It was difficult, I suppose, stupid question, but emotional, very draining to go to, because it's not a business, that's your dad, right? You were a little girl in the living room listening where he was playing piano, composing.
I find I don't find the physical stuff hard, but particularly when I'm working on a new project and I have to, I audition the material. So I listen to hours and hours and hours and hours, because every album, not only there's all the session takes and all the different sides of that, and that takes hours, but it's his songwriting diaries that are the really emotional thing, because that is like being a fly on the wall. It's like going back in time and being in a room with him as he's composing, and you can hear him. It's like, oh yeah, no, not that. Yeah, no, that's it, Dad, that's it. You can hear him evolve the songs from scratch, and that's fabulous. And occasionally, I can even hear myself as a little girl in the room next door. You can hear the phone ring, or you can hear, because it was all done at home. That is emotionally draining, and that is one thing I couldn't do in the pandemic. That is one thing where I should have had all that time that I could have gone through hundreds of hours of all the tapes to kind of get prepared for different projects. I couldn't do it. I couldn't. I think the emotion of and the sort of, it was the stress of what we were all going through. It was too much. But that is something I kind of gear myself up for, and a project at a time. And it's wonderful, but it's draining.
I imagine so. listen to all different takes and you in the background. And well, you have like a sister, right? Or not, right?
Yes. Yeah,
And only the two of you get involved, or you, or only you?
it's mainly me. No, it is mainly me. But yeah, of course she's involved, and I play the when I've made my decision about what I'm going to propose to the record company, then I play it to them first, and my mum and my sister. So yeah.
You have where you had doubts at the time when you were going through the box and say, man, this is, I'm opening like a wound here. Should I go there and release the stuff, or
No,
you knew that you needed to do that? Or?
No, I feel that it's wrong for us to have this treasure. I feel it's treasure.
Absolutely.
That it's wrong not to share it. What's the point of it? Just been sitting. I mean, it's been sitting in a box for 30 to 40 years already. It's enough. And for me also, it's also very important to keep Dad's involvement and his role clearly spoken about, so that he isn't forgotten. And so one of the, for me, the most important things is to make people aware that he was the songwriter, he was the lyricist, and these songwriting diaries are the best way of presenting that,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And also, of course, there's some wonderful, because he was so prolific as a songwriter. There are so many songs within these tapes that never made it onto the final albums, and so there's also previously unreleased material, which I find very exciting too.
Do you plan on releasing down the road more stuff?
Sure. Yeah, every time. I mean, anytime there's a physical release to do, I will always. There's so much that there's always more to put on, and the record companies always really like to have previously unreleased material, and encourages them to keep releasing more. So I will keep providing it.
Yeah, yeah, and also, like you're using a lot of managerial skill to do that, because there is whatever, it's 100 elements, whatever it happen to be, a song, a receipt, or a picture, or whatever. You need to pick, okay, out of 100, I need to see all of them, I listen to all of them, and pick 10. No, they're not that great. And then out of 10, 5, and then from the 5, okay, those are the best 3. Okay, let's save these 3, go to the next box, pick the next 3, and it's a lot of work, man.
It's a lot of work, but it's a wonderful thing to be able to do.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like in this, obviously, we are talking about, the 40th anniversary. It comes with a very good book inside. And I want to read something because it's very important. Say, Eric Woolfson can be described as the architect of the project. It was his appreciation of Alan Poe, which led him to Alan Parsons, blah, blah, blah. Eric wrote the album with Alan and actively collaborated in his making as the executive producer. That's important because, it's come from a quote from the book. No many people know that kind of stuff, and as I say at the beginning, when I in many ways, if I help out, contribute a little bit to remember your dad, and it's important because Alan Parsons project is, everybody knows Alan Parsons, but fewer people know Eric.
That's right. And Alan was obviously an absolutely brilliant engineer producer, and the marriage between the two of them was golden. It was really, really special. But it was Dad that wrote the music and the lyrics, bar maybe a handful of the instrumentals, but even then Dad was involved with those. But he was the songwriter, and he was very much the lyricist as well.
Absolutely. This is an ad from a Rolling Stone magazine for May 20, 1976, when they were releasing the album. That people used to put ad in magazine. I don't know if you have the stuff.
I don't know if I've got that one.
I will give it to you when I see you in London.
I don't recognize that one.
Yeah, Rolling Stone. What it says here is very important. It says music. It's in quotes. So somebody wrote that. So music, when combined with a pleasurable idea, is
that's on the album. Yes, that's on the album itself. Orson Welles speaks that. Yeah. So it's like a quote from what he said.
That's right. I will give it to you. You can maybe put the mark for the next person. It's amazing stuff. Very, very good album. Every album is like a book. Like people, you're a writer, you write different books, and each book is
Yeah.
very different. With Alan Parsons, the same. And little by little, I suppose he in that particular, the first album, he played keyboards in track 1, 2, 3, 5, and 7. He did
Always played
vocals a little
keyboard.
bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Little by little by little, he was putting pressure on Alan Parsons. Say, hey, not only I can, write lyrics, but I can sing a
Yeah.
little bit. And Alan Parsons say, no, next
No,
song.
no,
Next
no.
song.
Well, he always did the demo. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of some of the lovely bonus material we have is Dad would always sing the original demo. That whoever they chose as a vocalist would then, learn the track from. And I found some wonderful ones over the years, like Old and Wise, Dad singing Old and Wise. And sometimes you kind of think, yeah, Alan, why didn't you let Dad sing that one? That would have been, he'd have been the great vocalist on that one. But at the same time, I think the whole concept of the project was that Alan could pick and choose the best musicians for the track, that it wasn't about an artist. It was about him as the director of the piece of each track and bringing in, and it was about the track, not who was performing it. But I think over the years, yes, obviously after time, he was more open to using Dad more regularly.
Yeah, I'm glad. And then a year later, we're talking about now 1977. This particular album, right? The I Wrote, which is very different from the first one. I
bet you like that one, being in IT.
I like the picture, and it's you remember the history of how this picture came together?
That's Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, no, I was too young, but I know it was Hypnosis again that did it. I mean, Storm Thorgerson, who also did the Pink Floyd Dark Side of the Moon album cover. He did nearly all of the APP ones, bar Turn of a Friendly Card. And that was another Hypnosis cover. I don't know much about it. Dad was always very involved in the cover. I mean, he was involved with everything. He was a bit of a control freak. So he was involved very much on the business side. He did all the business deals and on the marketing, because he actually really loved marketing. He did do a marketing course when he was younger as well. So
this is an excellent album. Even let's say if I didn't know that the first one existed and I only have one album to pick, this was revolutionary at the time. I mean, of course, I have the opportunity to talk to Lenny Zacatec as well, which is a very nice guy, and it was a very good combination. And I think Alan Parsons didn't know Lenny. He told me that I think your dad knew Lenny. Lenny Zacatec used to be in a band called Gonzalez.
That's right.
And I think they were kind of buddies because they like music. And I think Lenny told me that your dad went to see him a couple of times, and he said, man, this guy have a very good voice. And then one day, after we're working in the second album, I Robot, I think Eric, your dad, called Lenny around 9 p.m. at night at home. Hey, I think, I have a track for you to sing. Really? Man, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. Can we make it tomorrow? No. Yeah, musicians, they work. They're like vampires, right? They work on the night. So you say, can you wait until tomorrow? No. Can you make it now? Yeah, where? We are doing this in Iro. Oh, yeah, no problem. How much? Such and such. And then I think they offered him like 250 quid, pounds at the time. And I think his mortgage was like 50 pounds at the time. So Lenny said, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll go there. No problem. We'll get coffee or tea, whatever. And then it did very well. I think they ended up paying him like 750 after the night because they knew, Alan Parsons knew how, some people I'm very good. I'm seeing something great in front of them and seeing the future of that. And you're kind of making a projection at the time, and of course that was right there, and it's an amazing album, man. That's some, that the second track here, the I wouldn't want to be like you.
I wouldn't want to be like you is a
Yeah,
great track.
it's amazing.
Yeah, I love the sort of quandary of that track. That is it a computer talking to a man or a man
Right.
talking to a computer? And even Dad, I mean, Dad always wrote lyrics intentionally ambiguously, so that there could be many interpretations, and he would rarely be drawn on what his view was. He liked it to be a sort of, and I think, Alan thought it was one way round and Dad was the other, in terms of man to machine or machine to man.
That's right. And it's very difficult I don't know how people do it. In other words, you have Alan Parsons that may have 20 names of great singer there, right? And then, that guy will be this guy should sing track number 2, and that guy should sing track number 5, whatever it happens to be. I don't know how people can see that, can see based on the music a little bit, based on the lyrics.
Yeah.
And then some songs are very difficult, right? Like time, so nobody could do it, and picking the right person for the track makes a big difference, so.
Yeah. And I mean, one of the tracks on that one, I think I'm right, aren't I? Some Other Time.
Yeah.
That's a really interesting one. Something I didn't even know for years later. Maybe it wasn't that. No, hang on. I've got the wrong album. Which one was Some Other Time? I thought it was.
Some Other Time is the third track in that album.
Oh, it is the third track. I was right. Yeah. That track is sung by 2 people.
That's right.
Do you know this?
Yeah.
And there's a woman and a man. I mean, I never realized this.
I didn't know that. I saw a video from your dad explaining that.
Yeah, I had no idea, and I found that out. Only probably when I did this. When we did the first box set, or maybe some interview with Dad explaining it, but I found that fascinating. So even within one song, that person would be good for that section, that person would be good for another. Although that I think was the only song that happened with, but still, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, and you mentioned something very interesting, that his lyrics, your dad writing the lyric was kind of ambiguous, was up to the readers, that was up to the listener. It's like reading William Shakespeare, right? Well, depending on who you are, your personality, your background may have a different interpretation of what.
That's right. And he never wrote love story type lyrics, where so many songs are all about love, and he really hardly ever did that, if ever. It was a sort of more intellectual, maybe, I don't know, kind of lyrics and concepts.
That was different, right? Like I met this girl, Mary. We have chemistry. She didn't call me. I was sad for 3 weeks. That's kind of stupid, right? So your dad's lyrics are a lot more meaningful, right? And you say,
hopefully thought provoking.
Yeah, that's great. Recently, this was released. I don't know if this is the Moffy, the original master series.
The music on vinyl one.
This is for a limited edition ultra disc. It's a high quality release of that particular album. It came out in the market I bought it last week, so it was released recently.
In America?
It's only...
Yes, no, I do know. That's Real Gone. Is it Real Gone Music that's released that one, I think? Real Gone?
It's the same, obviously. It's the same...
I haven't been involved with that one. Some releases are done with third-party record companies, particularly outside, if it's America. And I think it's a shame that I don't get more involved, because there would be more on them if I was. I haven't actually even got a copy of that myself, which is frustrating. But never mind.
Okay, when I go to London, bring you a copy. How that?
No, don't worry.
The quality is very good. This is our high definition recorder, and they come from Ultra Disc, and it's obviously the same vinyl, but the packaging is.
Is it music on vinyl? Is that who it's?
Yeah.
Music on vinyl, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
it's a little bit different from the music on vinyl. This is batch. Music on vinyl will be one step above, and this MOFI, high recording definition.
Oh, mobile fidelity. Yes,
Yeah,
no, mobile
high
fidelity.
fidelity. Very
Yes,
good.
yes, yes. No, I do know about it, and it was an American release. I do know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes with
But
an
there's no bonus material on it, I don't think.
no bonus material.
No.
Maybe we need to complain to Alan Parsons problem because no bonus.
No complaints. It's just, yeah.
No, I'm joking, obviously, but the sound is unbelievable. It's
Good. That's good, but that's important.
yeah, it's much better. Yeah, so big difference between the original and this the master recorders. Then we have number 3, which is Pyramid. This is another beautiful.
It's actually an album I'm going to be looking at. I'm going to be working on. Look at this that I've got. The original.
Wow, where that came from?
Oh, from one of the boxes with the licorice all sorts and receipts. Yeah, I mean, you can even see that the paint. They've actually drawn on the photograph. This is painted on. So yeah, cool, isn't it?
From there they end up creating this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man, amazing. How many boxes of stuff you got?
Yeah, a lot.
100? 1,000?
Well, no, now I just have a box for each album. Obviously, there was a lot that we threw away that wasn't related, but no, there's now a box for every album.
And you can keep everything at home, or you need to?
No, we have a storage. We have we hire a storage unit to keep, because I've also got all the master tapes. I have 1,000 master tapes that I had to bake and digitize, and yeah, it's quite something. And I can't, even though we've digitized them and we have them now all on a hard drive, the family can't quite bring themselves to throw them away, even though, I don't know whether we will ever do anything more with them now that we've digitized them, but for now we're keeping hold of them. But
man, yes. I would like, one day you need to invite me. I would love to see the
it's just a load of boxes, really.
No, but emotionally appealing for me to see. Why, as we began going over the last boxes that you're putting together, is there a plan to create like deluxe edition for each of the album? Or
absolutely, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. I'm already in discussions for all the rest of them, and Blu-rays and more vinyl expanded editions. Yeah, absolutely.
And you need to have like Alan Parsons need to get involved and decide, okay, want this, or you can do on your own without.
No, I can.
I don't know legally.
Woolfsongs is the contracting party, but of course, I mean, Alan, it's really important that on the mastering side of things that he gets involved, and he does, and that so he handles that side. But in terms of the conversations with the record companies about what to release and what bonus material, and then I'll work with the designer on the packaging and everything. That's all good from me.
Man, good for you. Then we have another great album, Eve, that came after that.
Eve, yeah. You know that my mum's mum was called Eve. That was
really? No, I didn't know that. Yeah.
My dad's mother-in-law's name.
Yeah.
Which we always thought was very funny.
Yeah, I don't know who are the ladies on the board.
I don't know. I don't like. That's my probably least favorite album sleeve, because it's all a bit. But yeah.
It's a very good album, though. I mean,
every album, and it's lovely that's where some of the female vocalists appear, which is nice.
That's right.
Yeah.
Then came. This is the music on vinyl. This is the one you refer. This is the Turn of a Friendly Card.
Yeah.
This is a very and your dad was all over
Yes.
Singing, and there's a lot.
Yeah, no, it's a great one. And we're just about to release a box set of Turn of the Pony Card. On the 24th of Feb, Cherry Red are releasing it's got a Blu-ray and 2 CDs with it, and it's got a songwriting diary and bonus session bonus tracks as well, and a nice book. So that's coming 24th of Feb.
Oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I need to get that one.